All right. South Carolina Republican elections have just been held and closed. I have the winners for you. Dun, 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 special Young Turks election coverage. You know what? I'm throwing in the sound effects for free today. Amazing. So the reason why we're not doing a big giant studio show is because we knew who was going to win. That's not the question. The question is how much did Donald Trump win by? And then I've got a hilarious stat for you from this election that tells you, one, it's funny, but two, it shows you why Donald Trump is in the lead, and three, it shows you why I'm a little worried that Democrats are way more than a little worried that the Democrats are going to lose the general election on this stat alone. Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. First of all, for everybody joining this coverage here, thank you for doing that. Members make Young Turks possible. We need you guys. Not like some other rando dude, but like you. Okay, hit the join button below so that we can give you this honest coverage, this coverage that actually has information in it, that isn't just commentary or analysis, but actually has numbers and stats and facts for you guys. And we don't let any of our perspective get in the way of those facts. So let's do it. And then, by the way, if you join during the live video I'm doing here, I'll give you a shout out. If you do a super chat, I'll try to give you a shout out. Okay, so number one, Donald Trump has won. The polls closed about 24 minutes ago. The Associated Press has called it. New York Times has called it. And now, most importantly, TYT Network has called it. I'm officially calling it for Donald Trump. Now, was it just called? No, it was called at approximately 4:01. As soon as the polls closed, boom, they're like Donald Trump won. Now, at that point, there was 0 votes in. So if you're wondering why they do that, that's because they do it based on exit polling and polls that happened earlier. So you know how people tell you all the time, "Oh, don't believe the polls, man. The polls don't. No, the polls are true." That's not at all true. The polls are actually usually very accurate, and they're within their margin of error. And their margin of error might be 2 points, 4 points, and they're usually around that ballpark. Sometimes you get a spectacular case where it's very different, and then I'll explain to you why it didn't follow the polls, usually having to do with people showing up who are not likely voters, which is what the polls are based on. But 9 out of 10 times, the polls are accurate, and that's why Donald Trump has won. You see, I'm not in favor of Donald Trump, to say the least. That's my opinion. Anybody who's watched the Young Turks before knows that. I'm this. Well, don't do it. Don't do it. Well, okay. So that's for later on. But anyways, so not a big fan of Donald Trump, but facts matter, stats matter. So let's do it. So number one, Trump was set to win this according to the polling by about 23 points. It was supposed to be about 61-38. Let's check in to see where the poll voting is right now. Tiny amount reporting of the actual votes. Only 2% of the votes in. And right now, wow, look at how off the polling was. They said 61-38. When in reality, right now, it's 61.7, 37.5. Oh, almost exactly what the polls predicted. Now, it's only 2% reporting, but we'll see if they land around those numbers. But they'll land somewhere in that ballpark. And look at Ron DeSantis with 0.5%. Don't feel too bad, Ronnie Meatballs. You're still hanging in there, even though you're not in the race. So I don't think he actually went with Ronnie Meatball. We predicted he would, but he didn't. So look at us, fairest show in America. So we were wrong. We thought he was going to call him Ronnie Meatball the whole time. Instead, he went with DeSanctimonious. Still, no one's asked him what does sanctimonious means. There's no way in the world Trump knows. Anyways, so now, how many delegates are at stake? 50 delegates are at stake here. Well, what's the current math? Well, we've had Iowa and New Hampshire for the Republicans, and Nikki Haley actually has 17 delegates. It's not like she's being shut out or anything. And Donald Trump has 63 delegates, so he's relatively comfortably in the lead, and he wins South Carolina. Oh no, 3% of the vote says it's moved dramatically. 54.4% to Donald Trump, 44.9% for Nikki Haley. It's only she's closing in 10 votes. No, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Look, the numbers go up and down in every election night you've ever seen in TYT cover. We talk about this. The numbers don't get relevant until there's like 50% reporting, 70% reporting. It's then you begin to, okay, now time's running out for the other side to close in. At 2-3% reporting, it doesn't mean a damn thing. Okay. And everybody remember, it's not like she's closing in as she gets to within 10 points of him. All the votes already happened. This is just the way that they're counting. And by the way, Republicans who are super paranoid about how everybody's going to cheat against Trump, number one, it looks like they're not cheating against him. Okay. And number two, you see that when the numbers on Trump's side, like me, I can't stand Trump. I'm not saying, oh, it's fake. Oh, he stole the election. Oh, it's rigged. No. Just calm down. Yeah, he's winning, and he's winning easily. You see how easy it is to say that even when you don't agree with the person? You should give it a shot. Okay, I've got more amazing things. But first, Double O gifted a Young Turks membership. You think I won't call that out? I'll call that out. Thank you for doing that. Aaron talks culture. Mount Rushmore progressive personalities. That I'm on it? I mean, is it because I have the jacket on? No, thank you. I appreciate it. That's wonderful of you to say. So yeah, some folks think that I'm among the progressive leaders. Others don't. Okay, what am I going to do? Okay, a guy can only try so hard. Anyways, okay, now back to numbers. This is important, and I still haven't gotten to that stat that I'm going to tell you about. First off, how dissatisfied and angry are the Republican voters? The answer is very. And the reason that it matters is because it's going to show you how energized they are to vote in the general election. And it turns out they are very, very energized. Okay. So 9 out of 10 are dissatisfied, which is not that surprising, but they're getting angrier. So in New Hampshire, it was only 36% of Republicans who said that they were angry. That's at the higher level, right? And in South Carolina in 2016, the number wasn't this high. But now the number one category of between angry, dissatisfied, satisfied, and enthusiastic is 46% saying they're angry. When they're angry, that they're going to show up to vote. So that's the thing that is a huge advantage that Donald Trump has, that he's going to energize his base, and they're already dissatisfied and angry. They want some change, so they're very motivated to vote. Not as much on the Democratic side, which is a giant, giant problem. Obviously, 84% think the condition of the national economy is not good. They're Republicans. They're going to say that almost no matter what. The reality is the economy is mixed. It's not great for poor and middle-class people. It hasn't been great for them for 40, 50 years. Biden hasn't changed that dynamic for the worse or for the better much. But the economy overall is very strong, near record unemployment levels, meaning low unemployment. And now inflation has gone down. So is it true? Like, should 84% of Republicans actually be dissatisfied with the economy? No. But are they going to be dissatisfied? Yes. And why? It's because that killer stat I'm going to tell you in a second. But I'm going to give you all the other ones first. But in the meanwhile, Trisha Briggs, premium level member. Look at that. Saying, loving my live videos, and definitely a progressive leader. Keep these coming. How lovely. Hero? Are you kidding me? No, every member of the Young Turks is a hero. This, guys, it's not an exaggeration. Without the members, there is no Young Turks. Poof. And look, the industry's in super tough times. So if ever there was a time to be a member, it's now. Hit the join button below. Okay, let's get there. Trisha, you're awesome. Thanks for doing that. All right, let me quickly get through the ones that are important and get to the best ones. So they ask, are you very conservative, somewhat conservative, moderate, or liberal? In the old days, including 2016, somewhat conservative would win even in a South Carolina Republican primary and has been winning. Not anymore. It's at 36% now. Very conservative is now winning at 43%. So the Republican Party has become even more conservative and even angrier than they were before. Are you part of the MAGA movement? This is the one I believe least. They say only 45% said yes, 49% said no. I think that there's a little bit of a stain on the word MAGA and the brand MAGA. So that's, I think, why more people are saying that they're not MAGA. They're not voting that way, right? But it is interesting. Maybe they are not MAGA, but they think, no, I still think Trump's the best candidate. Certainly possible. That's the one stat that's a little bit encouraging. Maybe they're not all crazy MAGA. Again, they voted very heavily for Trump, and I'm going to tell you the delegates he won tonight in a second too. But RavQ, welcome to membership. Love it. Thank you. You're now you are TRT. You consider yourself a producer. There's a producer level. You can do that. You can upgrade through the join button too. But overall, you guys all produce this show, all make this show possible. Okay. White evangelicals were 61% of the electorate. They're a huge base for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. More white evangelicals in South Carolina than even in Iowa. And then 92% of the electorate in this election, primary election, was white. Um, that's not at all surprising. And the heavy percentage of the Democratic primary voters are black. Not anywhere near 92%, but yeah, we've got this bifurcation on races. I hate that it's based on race, and we hope that it's not based on it, either on the Republican or Democratic side. It does often feel that way, but no one's surprised by that number. Um, Ada, thank you for the super chat. No, this is me as Young Turks host. This is my day job, and that's what I'm doing here. So that's why I'm not talking about the Democratic side at all. I'm just talking about the Republican primary today in South Carolina. Now, the stat that I promised you guys. So one of the things that Nikki Haley ran on was, hey, I'm worried about Donald Trump. His physical and mental health is not good enough. Now, in my opinion, this is a super weak sauce way to run on the Republican side. Now, Donald Trump's a mental mess. Number one, he always was. But number two, these days he's falling apart at the seams. I mean, we carried the speech the other day where he's like, oh, by the border, there's Steak Mountain. No, there isn't. And then he's like, I mean Snake Mountain. I mean Snake Hill. By the way, also no Snake Mountain, no Snake Hill. He made up the whole thing. Woohoo, woohoo, right? But he looks energetic. And you're not going to be able to convince the Republican voters that Donald Trump is an addled old fool. Whether he actually is or isn't is not relevant to whether you're going to convince them of that. So that is a poor political strategy, in my opinion. I've said that before. You have to undercut his strength. You have to show how weak he is. You have to show how many bankruptcies he went through, how he hides his grades, he hides his medical records because he's embarrassed of himself. And you have to belittle him. And oh my God, that's really tough. Don't do that. Yeah. If you don't want to win, don't do it. But if you're going to put your big boy pants on, and this applies to the Democrats way more than even Nikki Haley, you're going to have to criticize the guy in a way that actually hurts him with independent voters and maybe even a little bit of his base. And you saying he's racist or a bad guy, or you saying he's old, those things are not going to work. Okay. And we found that out. So, but Trump being who he is, he said, oh yeah, I got concerns about Nikki Haley's mental and physical health. So, and he does this trick all the time. You know what the original fake news was? Trump's team putting out a whole bunch of fake articles on Facebook in 2016. But he flipped it so hard. He started calling mainstream media fake news. He started calling all of his opponents fake news. So now anytime anybody says fake news, you think it's a Republican accusing mainstream media of being fake news. But it actually started with literally the Trump campaign putting out fake articles online. So he does the same jujitsu move here. He goes, no, my problem is mental health isn't my problem. It's Nikki Haley's problem. Guess what? Boom, works brilliantly. So when they ask, hey, are you worried about the physical and mental health of Trump? 72% say, no, I'm not worried. And 27% say, yeah, I'm a little worried. Okay. You might think 27% not bad. All right, well, let's look at Nikki Haley's. How do you think Haley has the physical or mental health to be president? 60%, yes, she does. 39%, no. It's a much bigger number than Trump's. So Republican voters are like, oh, I'm not worried about Trump's mental health at all. But Nikki Haley, little kooky. Trump convinced me. Why? Because Trump knows marketing. It's the only thing he knows. And he doesn't know it as a matter of studying it or strategy. He just knows it instinctually. He loves the camera. It's his vanity, but his vanity is actually winning the day. So he just keeps repeating the same message maniacally over and over and over again, which in politics is gold. So he flipped it on her. They were more worried about her mental and physical health than his by 12 points. All right, I got more amazing stats. Dr. Scrolls, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. Yep. Oh, look, if you're complaining about Gavin Newsom, you're going to find a friendly audience here. So we're not your average bears here. We're not. We actually care about facts and the news, right? So like Team Democrat will be like, what do you mean? Gavin Newsom, rah, 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 right? For us, I'm like, yeah, I could show you 12 things he's done terribly wrong in California. Wait till you get a load of Anna. She's done not like Gavin Newsom at all. Of course, my co-host, by the way, check out the show Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern every day. A lot of the stuff we do don't make it into the YouTube clips, and we have a ton of fun on the live show. So come watch it with us. Come be part of our community. Okay. So listen, guys, the reason why that stat that I read you, and hey, look at this, David Andrews. Thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate you. Why the reason why that stat's so important and that idea is so important is because Trump does that all the time, and he gets his megaphone and he screams it. And Biden doesn't have that megaphone. He does. The president always has the largest megaphone in the world, but Biden refuses to use it. And they didn't even do the Super Bowl interview. They cost their team $56 million in free publicity by turning down that Super Bowl interview because they're worried about how Biden looks if he's out in public. But then you have a huge problem with that candidate. And I say it in this context just because on the other side, you have this pit bull, Trump, who's constantly like, me, I'm the best, the other side is mentally weak, fake news. And he does all that. And by the end, Biden can't get his message out at all. The Democrats can't get their message out at all. And it gets steamrolled. So look at that number on his mental health. He convinced Republican voters through repetition and screaming from the rooftops that Nikki Haley had the bigger problem with mental health, which is nuts. Nikki Haley has 1,000 problems, but mental health isn't one of them. So, okay, last updates here. Remember, 50 delegates on the line here. Whoever wins gets 29 delegates for the statewide victory, and then the rest is based on the counties. And Trump has already locked up 44 out of the 50 delegates based on the exit polling right now. And right now, as things stand, with 6% of the votes in, he's leading 57-42. Again, those numbers are not that relevant. Most likely, he's going to win by about 23, and he'll get. I mean, he already has 44 out of 50. What's interesting is that as I looked at the map, where's Nikki Haley stronger? Where's Trump stronger? Trump's stronger in rural areas, which there's plenty of in South Carolina, and Haley's stronger in the closer to the cities, Charleston, Columbia, etc. Well, that's your problem right there if you're Nikki Haley. She does better in blue strongholds, but she's in a red primary. She's in a Republican primary doing pretty well in blue areas. That if she was the general election candidate for the Republicans, that might really help the Republicans. But as things stand, it doesn't look like she's going to be. And inside of a primary, that doesn't help you at all. You want to be strong where the Republicans are strong. And that's why Donald Trump is winning this primary and so far every primary. And then let me get to a big conclusion here, which is, is this primary on the Republican side over? And I would say, let's go to Super Tuesday. And it'll be probably over after almost certainly over after Super Tuesday. But I don't like this counting people out. At the end of the day, if it ends up where the polls say she got 38%, I know it's her home state and she was the governor there, but 38% against Donald Trump in a very conservative state. And she got 44% in New Hampshire. She's not really getting blown out of the water in the way that it feels in media. Everybody's like, it's over. Why doesn't she get out? Which is what Sean Hannity yelled on Fox News just a little while ago. Well, Fox News now is all Team Trump. They used to be against him, but now they've all bent a knee. And Trump's team brags about this, and they're not wrong to brag about it. He said, oh, yeah, once they lose, they all bend a knee and they all start kissing his ass. So Fox News already in that direction. Nikki Haley in 3, 2. No, maybe not. Maybe they caught enough feelings. Maybe she thinks, hey, I'm going to wait for the post-Trump era, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, I don't think it's over. I think Nikki Haley has made it interestingly competitive to just be able to get into the 40s against Trump in a Republican primary, given how much Republicans seem to love Donald Trump and how much of a following that he has there. And remember, Trump could do anything, man. And the only person that could beat Trump at this point, it seems, at least out of the candidates that have a shot to making it into the general election, is Trump himself. Like, he's constantly pulling the pin on a grenade and putting it inside his mouth. And it's unbelievable. It's proverbial, by the way, rhetorical. Let's be clear about that. But it's unbelievable that nothing blows him up, right? he could say the most insane things while he's preaching on top of Stake Mountain, and it still doesn't blow him up. But is there something he could do? I guess. I mean, his brain could fall out of his ear on it, maybe, etc. If there isn't any crimes he could commit that would make a difference. He's already committed all those crimes, and the Republican voters don't care at all, at all. Okay, like this, and the whole country knows that the knucklehead Democrats sit around and go, "Oh yeah, don't worry, in the general election we're going to beat him because he's got 91 counts against him. He's been indicted so many times, 91 counts." But brothers and sisters, we all already know that. That's already figured into the polling. And it looks like no one cares. So your side cares, but they were already on your side. Most importantly, the independents don't seem to care that much. So look, this thing is probably over for Donald Trump. Very, very likely over for him. But I say keep going. You never know, especially on an explosive and ridiculous character like Donald Trump. God knows what he'll do. So definitely go through Super Tuesday. This election on tonight is going to wind up where we thought it was going to wind up, and Trump's going to win relatively large, but not crushing in the way that you would expect a former president and a guy who's the leader of a cult, etc. So, but nevertheless, it is what it is, and you got to be accurate about it. Trump wins tonight in South Carolina, and will very likely win and be the Republican nominee. And then at that point, everybody buckle up and brace for impact. So let's see what happens in the general election, and that should be fascinating. Savage Lou, thank you, brother, on a couple of counts. Appreciate you. Just did a super chat. Everybody, come join. We need you guys right now so that we can do this coverage. We can do the live show 6 to 8 p.m. every day. Members are everything. We don't use corporate sponsors. We use you guys to keep us in business, so we're loyal to you, and you could trust us instead of us being loyal to corporate sponsors. So join button below, and you can upgrade through there too. Love you guys. We'll give you more on Monday's show, of course, at 6 o'clock Eastern. I'll see you then, guys.